Hello everyone, my name is Ronak and you are watching Vectorward. So in today's video, we'll talk about user controls and custom controls in Avalonia. So user controls in Avalonia are reusable UI components that encapsulate a particular piece of functionality or a set of related UI elements. They are designed to simplify UI development by promoting modularity and reusability. Some of the major characteristics of a user control would be encapsulation, reusability, customizability, and separation of concern. So let's start first by creating an Avalonia project. So let me click on create new project and let's click on I'll select Avalonia.NET app or and you can either search it from your templates here. If you do not see these templates in your Visual Studio, you please check out my previous video. I'll leave a link in the description where I've explained how to install Avalonia in Visual Studio. So moving ahead, let me, I have selected this from my recent project. So let me click on next and let's say, okay, and click on next. While the project is loading, for those who haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. It means a lot. It motivates me to create more such videos. And yes, if you have not seen my previous videos on Avalonia, please, I will leave a link in the description where I have covered several topics on Avalonia. So now the project is loaded. So let's start by defining our XAML markup. So this XAML markup will be to define the layout and structure of the user control, including any necessary UI elements and bindings. So let me see what we have here. So let's wait for the project to load. You can see this designer on the right hand side. So that will only be available. Let me build it first so that you can see the designer. By default, Avalonia does not support a designer. It does not show you a designer. But by installing this template, not a template, an extension here in the manage extensions, if you see, I have this Avalonia extension for Visual Studio 2022 installed, and due to this you will be having this, or you will get this preview of the design that you create. So that is that. And now if you do not know how to do it, then you can check out my video on that as well. So now let's start by creating a user control. So let's select our project here and right click, add new item. Let's say user control. Okay, Avalonia user control, and let's name it as let's leave it as is, and let's click on add. So now we have our user controls XAML here on the screen. So let's start by adding some code here. So let me remove this, and then let's start by adding a grid. And inside this grid, let's add a text block. And let's add some properties to the grid. Let's say a background of light gray. And this text block, let's add some properties to the text block as well. So let's set the text to a binding. And let's bind it to a property called message. And let's close. And then let's set the other properties like horizontal alignment to center and also the vertical alignment to center. Now that is all that I will do on the designer's end. I will also set the width and height of this user control to say 200 and 100. Let me save this and let's go to the code behind. And in the code behind, let's do some changes. So here, So let's create a property, public static read only style property of type string message property, and that equals to Avalonia property dot register user control 1 comma string, and let's pass the message. This property is not yet created, so I'm getting this autocomplete, but let's close this. Okay, so now let's create this property. Okay, let's add the getter and setter property. I need to do the same here as well. And finally, the user control. And inside this user control, I need to say the data context equal to this. So now we have completed designing our user control and the code behind. So let's build this and see what errors do we have. Okay, so it says that we cannot parse a compiled binding without an explicit X data type directive. So here it is not allowing me to bind this directly. So if you go to the Avalonia article on compiled bindings, you will see this page where it talks about the compiled bindings and how to define them in XAML. So there are two or three ways to tackle this error. So one is for the first one would be to enable and disable the compiled bindings and globally. So to define this or to enable or disable this globally, you can copy this code, or better yet, you can simply go to your project and go to Solution Explorer and open the solution file or the CS project file. And okay, so here is a CS project file, and here you will see that Avalonia use compile binding by default is set to true. So I don't want this to be true. I want it to be false, and let me change this. And if I save it now, you will see that the error that I have here, if I rebuild now, it goes away. So in this way, you can use compiled bindings. We can enable them or disable them. The second option would be, the article describes, is that you can either use a compiled binding markup, meaning that you add compiled binding instead of the binding attribute, and you also provide the X compiled binding equal to true. So you will have to explicitly specify this in each of the element, or you can define them globally, which I did. Or you have other options as well, where you can use reflection binding markup, and then you have typecasting, where you typecast every binding here in the command section like this. So so the first solution, that is to set it globally, has worked for us. So here you can see our user control is loaded. Now let's see how we can include it in our project or the main window. So here you will have to first define the namespace. Let me change this width and height to say 400 and 300. And here I will include the namespace, XAML namespace, local, let's say equal to namespace, and our common namespace value here. And here inside this, let me add a stack panel. And inside this text panel, let's add our user control. So let's say local, and here you have our user control. So, and we'll have to pass the message that our user control expects. So here you can see our property that we created, message property, and let me type hello and welcome to Avalonia. And let me set a margin of say 10 points, and let me close this. And here you can see we have created a simple user control and added it to our main window. So now that we know the basics of user control, let's design a small button and implement it in our main window. So here we are going to make some modifications to our user control. So let's start first by removing this grid that we have here, and also change this height to 50. And let's start with a border. Let's set the corner radius to say 5. And inside this border, let's add a stack panel. And let's set the stack panel's orientation to horizontal. And inside the stack panel, let's add a button. Let's set the width to 50 points and height also to 50. And inside this button, let's add a path icon. But before that, we will have to create the path icon. And this path icon would be to display an icon inside the button. So let's do that later. I'll add one more button here. Let's set the width to 150 and height to 50 and set a padding of 15. And let's call it Microsoft Store. Okay, so this is our layout, and here I want to add an image. So to do that, let's go to the Solution Explorer, right click and add a new item. And here we'll have to select Avalonia styles, and let's name it as icons and click on add. And then you add your styles here. So you will have to create a style element, and inside the style element, create a resource element. And inside this resource element, we'll have to add a stream geometry, and this geometry would be to define the icons. So here, if you go to this link on Avalonia, you will have fluent icons for Avalonia. You can they have the geometry for pretty much every icon. You can search here, search for Microsoft Store. Yeah, so you can get this stream geometry for this icon. So similarly, you can get icons for every everything. So let me copy this and go under this resources, paste it. So I have my stream geometry or the icon ready. So let me go to the app.xaml and include it like this. So here you'll have to use a style include and give the source as the control or the namespace name, and then the icon file that you created or the style file that you created. So avres colon forward slashes. After that, you need to provide your namespace and then the style name, and that will help you to include the style that you just created. And now all you have to do is go back to the user control, and here under this you will have to create the path icon element, and inside the path icon you can create a data, and then you can give the static resource, and that would be the store. Let me see what is the name of the static resource. So yeah, this is the name. So let me go back and paste it over here, close the tag and then just close the path icon. And here you can see we have our icon ready. You instead of using a static resource, you can also directly create a path geometry tag, and inside that path geometry you will have to paste the geometry that you have got from the website. So this is our user control now. So I will save this, and now we can use the same code that is used here to include the user control in our main window. Only thing is that we are not using this message, the property. And let me run this and show you it in action. So here is a user control that we have added, and that is all I have on user controls for Avalonia. Hope you all like watching this video. If you do, give this video a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Till then, bye bye.